Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hey, in last week's episode I did a video on my commentary and analysis of my crash. And this week I wanted to show you what got damaged on Sumo. Luckily, to give you a little bit of an update, it's been just a little over 2 weeks since I crashed, and I'm well on my way to getting fully back to good shape here and mend from my injuries. I suffered a concussion, luckily not a real severe one, and a lot of soreness, so I really got away pretty easily. So let's take a look at Sumo. The heavy impact that Sumo took was on the left-hand side of the bike. It broke off the windscreen, which should be right in here. I've already taken that off and thrown that out. It also damaged this whole instrument cluster here. This is busted up. It blew out the cigarette receptacle, and there's some cracking down here in the headstock, so this part took a pretty good hit here. It twisted the handlebars and the guards around, and we were able to repair that on scene and get the handlebars back into a drivable position, and then I rode the bike 185 miles after crashing to get back to the van. The custom RotoPax mount that I had on the back here on this back rack was severely bent also. It was still usable, but it was bent in such a fashion that I'm not sure that we could ever get the bend out of it. We made that out of aluminum and was just bent so severely. I'm sure that we could probably get it close back to normal, but just wouldn't be like it was when we originally manufactured it. When I first purchased Sumo, a lot of the products, aftermarket products that are available now just simply were not available at the time of purchase. And so I made some decisions on where to put things that I think haunted me a little bit in the crash as far as weight loading goes. And nowadays there's more items out there that you can put on the bike. And the next 3 videos probably will be about how I'm starting to refurbish Sumo here and get him back into riding condition. One of the things is I had all the heavy weight on the back of the bike here as far as liquids go, extra fuel and extra water I carried on my rack clear back there. That's not a good location. I knew that when I made that. But at the time there weren't a whole lot of options. Since then, there have been companies that have come out and made these engine guards, and so what I'm working on now and what this video is going to be primarily about is a custom RotoPax mount to put off of this engine guard, which keeps my liquid forward and low on the bike, which is going to be the safest place to carry it. And I've created a little bit of a template here that's going to go on these U-bolts that I've got, and that will allow me to mount my RotoPax low, just like KTM has done with the 790 Adventure R here, and keep that liquid low and forward where it needs to be to ride the bike safely. So I'll be heading off to Indiana here in just a few days, and we'll be working on this project where we make a custom RotoPax mount that will mount off the engine guard. Well, here we go. I'm headed to Indiana, and by tomorrow afternoon I should be there. It's basically a 2-day drive. I spend the night somewhere overnight in the van here. So we'll see you when we get to Indiana. The trip north was uneventful, and I did get to see some beautiful fall foliage as I ran through Tennessee and Kentucky. But when I got to Indiana, I was reminded of why I moved to Florida. There was snow on the ground, and it was bitter cold. Hey everyone, I made it to Indiana here. I'm back in Roy's shop, and today we're going to be working on a couple of more RotoPax mount for Sumo since I crashed and destroyed the other one. And I filmed just a little bit of it when I was still in Florida and showed you the pattern here. But we're going to transfer this pattern to a couple pieces of aluminum and a couple pieces of Duralon that I'll be able to attach to the Hepco and Becker engine guard. That'll keep the RotoPax low and forward, which will help balance the bike and keep the weight low on the bike. Here we got the first piece of Duralon cut out. We got another one to go, and then we'll start working on the aluminum. We're drilling the mounting holes in all four pieces at the same time here. That way they're all concentric and they all line up. We're drilling a 3/4 inch hole through all four pieces, and we're doing this just to make the pieces lighter in weight. While we still have all four pieces bolted together here, I believe we're going to put it in the Bridgeport here and run the straight edges with a cutter so that we can even everything up so the pieces are all the same size. Right. Roy has gone ahead and milled off all the flats so they're nice and straight and even. And now we're just sanding off the corners, and that'll get all the dimensions matching up with the pattern. And what we're doing here is we're drilling out the Duralon so that we can get a washer, a nut, and a socket head in there to tighten it down. I sandblasted the aluminum part, and that will allow the paint to adhere a little bit. And just like always, if you watch any of my other videos, I'll be using an etching primer for aluminum.
Oh, I got some runs.
Roy's putting the finishing touches on the aluminum pieces here. We had them primed with etching primer, and now he's putting the black gloss in. So that should make them look real nice. And we had to order some screws from McMaster Car, but we get those in, we'll be able to do an assembly and show you what the finished product looks like when we get it all bolted together. Well, I've got the parts put together now. We have the aluminum backing plate, which will get U-bolted to the engine guard, and the Duralon spacer here that allows the U-bolts to be recessed, and then the RotoPax actual mount here. So now that we've got these done, they've turned out really nice. I've got a left and a right for each side of the motorcycle. And when I get back to Florida, I'll get these installed on the bikes, and that'll be the end of this video. Hey everyone, after a month of being in Indiana helping my mother out who's recovering from some pretty major back surgery, I'm back here in Florida and back on my Sumo projects here. And I'll turn the camera around here, and this RotoPax mount that I've been working on and dry fitting it, I had to drill out the bolt holes that match up with these U-bolts just to allow it to fit just a little bit easier. And in order to make sure I mount those in a fairly perpendicular fashion, I went ahead here and on the front caliper I went ahead and put a spirit level on it, and that allows me to know what position the bike is in, and then I'll be able to position these RotoPax mounts at the same level, and that'll make it square with the bike then. Dry fitting the pieces together also indicated that I'm going to have to trim the ends of these screw portion of the U-bolt down just a little bit to give it clearance so that it sits below the level of the Duralon spacer, so that it doesn't get into the RotoPax fuel can at all. I want to make sure that that can't rub on the fuel can and puncture the RotoPax can. So the next thing to do is get those cut off. Well, I've got the U-bolts marked with some masking tape here and where I want to cut it off, and then I'm just going to use my cutoff wheel here to go ahead and cut off these 4 U-bolts. So I've got 8 cuts to make. Now that I've got the U-bolts cut off and at the correct length, now I'll just use the grinder here to grind those down so that they'll accept a nut again, and we can get going on the installation. Well, how does that look? I think it turned out pretty good. These pieces are left and right pieces for each side of the bike, but now I can mount my RotoPax instead of high up back on the back rack of the bike. I can now mount these real low and forward and keep the weight forward right where the gas tank is at. And on one side I'll carry an extra gallon of water, and on the other side an extra gallon of fuel. I can even stack these and put up to 2 cans on each side. So let me get them mounted and you can see what it looks like now with the cans on. Well, here I have the water RotoPax mounted on the right hand side of the bike, and as I move across here I've got the fuel can on the left hand side of the bike, and let me back up here and you can kind of see how the tanks sit on the bike. Well, this project turned out really well. Well, I hoped you liked this video on the custom RotoPax mount. They're definitely in a better location than what I had them in before, so hopefully that will help with the stability of the bike. If you like this video, please give it the big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Take care.